Hi, I'm Sophie Rawlingson and welcome to my Bleur Studio Session. Today we're going to be guiding you through creating your own flower inspired by existing ones or using reference materials, and then we're going to turn them into digital illustrations using Adobe Illustrator on your computer. For this session you will need some paper of your choice. You can just use printer paper, some pens, whichever pens you like using. I like using black because it's easier to digitize. Some reference material, it doesn't have to be flower related, and then a laptop with Adobe Illustrator. So looking through your references, you're going to be wanting to find just something that inspires a shape or a line or a movement. So this magazine does have a lot of natural objects, but even something like these stairs, there's like stripes on a stem. You could find the arches are very nice. You can make an abstract arch-shaped flower head. You're just wanting to find enough magazine references to have in front of you when you start drawing that you're not going to get stuck for ideas. So this infographic is really good. It's got this really long, thick stem shape here with a bulb. So when you're drawing a flower, don't just think about the flower head, but also if you want to have new bulbs, is the flower alive? Is it dying? Lots of things can inspire you. So once you've found some good imagery, get started, get comfortable, because we're going to start drawing. Okay, now that you're ready to draw, I'm going to give you a quick example of how to find shape and image using your material. So I like to start with a basic flower, just to get us going. It's a little daisy-esque inspired. And then even just from the front cover, we can see some stripes, we can see some lines. So instead of using a regular stem, we're just going to give it some lines. And then I'm liking this sort of shape over here. So that's, instead of one circle in the middle, we could do 3. It's already starting to look like an alien sort of mutated flower, which is what we want. And then you basically keep going through your reference material. And you're just looking for anything that you think can inspire change to the drawing as you go along. So this flower is really nice. I like the gnarled sort of branch. So instead of having a straight stem, you've got your flower with your little dots. And then just start to curve it. And then maybe you have another one over here. Adding in the elements that you brought in along the way. So when I start drawing flowers, I usually just do this for a few pages and I keep going until I've got a flower that I'm really happy with, that looks new, not like something I've done before, and looks definitely alien. So you just keep going through, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so by now you should have a bunch of different sketches, lots of flower heads and lots of leaves. Hopefully some you like more than others. And basically what I like to do now is just go through, cut up the shapes that I like and start pairing them with the leaves. So grab yourself some scissors. One of the flower heads that I do like is this one that has a star. So put that in the yes pile. I also liked this one. It looks a bit like a thistle. So as you go through, you're kind of looking for a flower that's going to take up enough space. So we're basically going to be creating an Instagram-sized full-length image. So you want it to be fairly taller than it is wide. So once you've got your 2 flower heads and your leaves, I'm going to want to redraw mine so it's a little bit better, a little bit neater, and then add those extra leaves. So you can either use a light box or hold it against the window, use the light, and kind of like trace it a bit neater. Or if, like me, you're just going to want to use it as a reference and then draw side by side. Okay, so now you've got your redrawn digital illustration. We're going to take a photo of it and send it to our computer. This is so we can digitalize it in Adobe Illustrator. I'm just going to use my phone camera for this. Get a nice bird's eye view angle of it. I'm going to use AirDrop, you can use Bluetooth or email. Okay, sent. So now you've brought your image into your computer. We're going to open it up and just make sure that it's a JPEG file. Just clicking on the image here, I'm going to duplicate it and then resave it. Okay, now we've got to open up Illustrator. Okay, so formatting your file size. We're going to make it the correct size for Instagram, the long size. So I'm going to turn it to pixels. The width is 1080 and the height is 1350. I'm going to make sure this says RGB and then create. Okay, so now your file is open. We're going to bring your JPEG file into your document. Just drag and drop. Zooming out, I'm going to resize my illustration so that it falls within the page size. Cool. Digitizing the illustration is pretty easy. We're going to go up to Image Trace, the little drop down arrow, and click Sketched Art. This turns your actual outlines into vector shapes. Sometimes it can be a little bit messy depending on how clear the image was that you were taken. So you can edit the lines by using this little drop down, play with the threshold. Okay, that's a bit nicer. A little bit more. Okay, cross this and then just press expand. You're going to want to ungroup this object. You just want to keep these middle parts, drag them onto your document, and then delete the rest. So the first thing I do is I like to just edit the lines, make sure they're nice and clear. You want to select almost the whole thing, leave a few anchor points unselected, and then click this button here. This means that your individual anchor points are curves rather than right angles. So now I just go through the document and I might take out maybe these lines here. Pressing different buttons on your menu there, you can change how many lines are on each post. If you'd like your drawing to be quite wobbly like I do, I don't edit too much. Just go through slowly and change. Okay, so just before we add some colour, we're going to make sure that any separate elements are joined together. This just helps when adding colour, which is super easy. Okay, so I'm just going to drag my anchor points onto this line below, which is effectively just going to be my soil. Let's crop this. And then, using the Pathfinder tool, we're just going to join them together so it's one big shape. Okay, now with colour, it's easier to think about your plant in context. So do you want it to be sunrise or daytime? Is it winter? Is it summer? Is it nighttime? And that'll help you start picking out colours. So I like to use just this Pantone colour swatch book that I have. If I'm thinking of new colours, I like to just look through. So I always have a shade of purple in my work. So for example, I can just look at this shade. Okay, it's definitely nearer the blue tones than it is the pink. So when I start adding a square, I'm going to know to add more blue than pink until we have our shade of purple. So that's a pretty good colour. And then what you're going to do is just going to start adding more than enough swatches. So even if your plant only has a few sections and it's one colour per section, just add as many as you can because it will help you come up with new colour combinations later down the line. Now that you've got your swatches, we're going to start colouring in your illustration. So first, select your outline drawing. select the live paint bucket tool and click it. It's now a live object. So now when you click a swatch, you can fill it in easy peasy. And then for a background, we're going to want a different colour as well. So I'm just using the pen tool now, and we're going to go behind the illustration. So I'm just drawing it along, edge to edge, all the way up to the top, and then across. Send that to the back. Let's just make that a different colour. Okay, and then also do another section for the soil or the grass, whatever it is, at the bottom of the image. Okay, so now for the fun part. We're taking our swatches and selecting our whole image. Oh, what you might want to do is copy and paste your selection. Okay. Select your swatches and your illustration. Head up to Edit, Edit Colours, Recolor Artwork. If you click Advance, you have this wonderful menu, and this little button here, you can click it and switch through all of your swatches. You can find some really fun colour combinations that you wouldn't have chosen, like this one is amazing. So I'm gonna copy and paste that. Okay, so every time you do a new colour selection, make sure you delete the swatches that are next to it and copy and paste the original ones in. That's because there's colours already in your image, and then you end up with duplicates over here, and then not the original colours back in your swatches. So you copy and paste it, and then you've got the full range of colour swatches to go again. So some of the colours that you might like, so you're like, okay, press enter, apply those colours, but then you might not like some parts of it, so you can just go through and change it. So all I'm doing now is just going through their colour patches, colour swatches, and waiting until I find one that I completely love. If the colours that you've selected in the beginning you're not really vibing with, they don't end up looking very good together, another tool you can use is this one to the right. It changes the saturation and brightness of the colours you've already chosen. So you can go through, and sometimes they'll be more dull and sometimes they'll be a bit brighter. And then you can just go back and forth. Nice. I think my favourite one is definitely this one. I'm going to play around with the background colour slightly. I'm going to make this purple slightly warmer, adding a little bit more magenta to it. Maybe a bit less green. Nice. And then instead of this super dark navy, I'm going to make it slightly lighter. So once you've got your finished illustration and the colours you're finally happy with, we're going to export it into a JPEG so you can post it online. So head up to File, Export, Export As, send it into a JPEG, use artboards, call it whatever you'd like, and then press Export. We're going to make sure that the resolution is high, so 300 ppi, make sure it's RGB, and then press OK. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. To watch more Blur Studio Sessions, hit the subscribe button.